Well, hello there. It is episode 4 of Grow Your Expert Business Live, and we do go live every Monday at this time, which is 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, or is it Eastern, and 5:30 p.m. UK time. Anyway, so 5:30 p.m. UK time. It's 7:30 p.m. My time here in Cyprus in Eastern Europe. So hey guys, how's it going? Got Kelly Marie. How's it going, Kelly? And Sean's on the line. So before we get started, guys, just tell us who's here. Leave a comment and make sure you like the page and share this post right now before we get into this. Share this with any coaches, consultants, trainers, business owners that you think would want to hear about this. Because we are talking today about 9 steps to find and grow and lead a team so that you can have more freedom and fulfillment in life. So this is really how you're going to escape the grind and escape the hustle and grow a coaching business that doesn't just serve you, but is going to serve a lot more customers, and also it's going to serve the people in the company. And how do we give people not just a job working with you, but how can someone actually build a career inside your business? So we're going to talk about everything from how do we have the right foundations to help team members come in, how do we have systems to really have them give us good results, good performance, and have a good experience, and how to retain those team members. Because here's the thing, a lot of coaches and consultants, and myself included, I was very much stuck in my business because of my egotism, right? And because we're afraid of letting things go, and we're afraid of trusting other people, and we think that we're the only one that can do these things. So let me know if you're in that position right now. I know I'm watching this. Let me know if are you in that position now, or have you been in that position where you know it's time to outsource, time to let some things go, even if it's just some basic admin, but the ego in you is being a control freak and telling you to hold on because no one can do it like you can, or like we like to tell ourselves. So these are the steps that we use, and I've used these steps in my own businesses. I've used this, and it all started, I'll tell you where it started from, because I was doing everything myself in my first coaching business. And basically I was doing it all myself, doing all the tasks. I knew I needed to outsource, but I didn't. And if you ignore the signs, I think, then life just knocks harder and harder until you get it. And in my case, I found out one day that my mother back in the UK had been diagnosed with a brain tumor. And that was it, there was no question. She was going in for the operation, so I had to literally pack my bags, go back to the UK and, to be with my family and make sure she was okay. So I was, literally pulled from the business. I was doing from everything to the next day, there was no business anymore. It was gone. Everything, poof, like that. So everything I'd worked for was just vanished because it all depended on me. So when I came back to it a year later, my mother got healthy again, the family got all, everything was back to normal. I then returned to Cyprus to restart the business. But now I had a different mindset. Now I was not afraid of giving up work. I was now afraid of doing it all myself, because I now wanted to, I didn't want the income to rely on just me anymore. So I had a whole different mindset, and I learned the hard way, let's say, of why it's so important to start building a real business around what you do. If you want to be in this for the long term, that's what I had to do. So you can learn the easy way, which is take this advice in this live stream and do it, or you can learn the hard way where life forces you to have to make a change. So that's what I did. And since then I came back, I then regrew the business, took on another head coach. From there, I built another coaching fitness facility where we had outsourced from day one with a handful of coaches, with receptionists. From there, I learned to outsource the marketing department. We learned to outsource sales. We took on Google Ads managers, Facebook managers, salespeople, PR people, and then in my more recent businesses, you know, my online consultancy, you know, the Expert Business Blueprint brand, you could say, you know, I have Facebook ads outsourced, I have LinkedIn marketing outsourced, I have YouTube advertising outsourced, I've got an executive assistant, I've got a social media manager, I've got a community manager, I've got a web development team, we've got copywriters, and I've got you know, a sales team outsourced, I've got a sales team on board, and I've even got business coaches, right? So it goes to show, I've done this, you know, in fitness businesses, I've done it in my B2B consulting business, and I've even used what I'm about to share with you to help people in the mindset self-help space. In fact, you know, one of my clients and good friends started working with them about 7 months ago, and we helped them go from having one employee, an admin assistant, to now having a team of 16 people, smoothly, sustainably, and profitably, and literally ripping apart the size of the business. So that's how critical these 9 steps are going to be. And just to mention some guys in the show, we've got Tanya here. How's it going, Tanya? You're going to love this today. And Kelly mentioned she's taken on 2 VAs and a project manager is going to be next. Okay, we might talk about the order of where you might want to hire people, in what order. We might get to that later. But drop your comments below, guys. Whenever you come onto this live stream, drop your comments, and if it's not covered in the material I'm going to share with you, then we can get back to it at the end. All right, so the 9 steps. Okay, so the first step, and this is going to sound counterproductive, the biggest mistake, okay, the biggest reason people fail to find good team members, let's say, is because they ask the wrong questions first. They have a backwards approach, right? This is the fundamental thing. Most people start with, who do I need? They start with the who, and that's the problem, okay? So the person, the who, that's actually the last thing we're going to think about in this process. The who is the least important step of this. It's important, but it's the least important. And you'll see as we go through these steps why that is. So we're going to switch things around. And if you just follow my lead for now, humor me for a bit, let me go through the 9 steps, and you'll see how this all actually falls into place. The real first step is, number 1, you need to set a vision for what your company is going to look like. Now, I don't mean what it's going to look like in 50 years' time, because you don't know, but you need to set a basic milestone. Like maybe it's going to be, if you're at 6 figures right now, maybe your goal is to get to 7 figures revenue, or maybe you want to generate, you know, $5 million, or whatever it might be. You need to have a basic benchmark first of all, and then you've got to have a vision for your personal life. You've got to know, why is it you're doing this? You know, what is this company doing for you? You have to think of that first, because if you don't know what the business is doing for you, how can you ever know what an individual team member has to do for you? And this is the source of so many problems. We hire people and we don't even know what they're supposed to do, and therefore they don't know what they're supposed to do. Right? And this is a problem. So we've got to reverse engineer. We've got to start for, what is the company vision? So if your company, let's say, is going to make $1 million in the next year, you want to be $1 million a year company, and then you work out, okay, what does the company have to then do? What has to happen for the company to produce $1 million in revenue? Maybe it's, you know, maybe you have, let's say, I'm going to get a calculator for this. So we need to make $1 million in this example, right? So maybe you have a program, maybe your average client value is $6,000, right? Maybe an average customer is worth $6,000 a year to you, right? So if you divide $1 million by 6,000, right? You need 166 clients, let's say, right? And I don't know what kind of program you've got. It could be a fitness boot camp, it could be a semi-private thing, it could be a mindset course, it could be an online program, it could be retreats, a combination of all different things. But if you work out roughly, just roughly, what has to happen? Well, in this case, if an average customer is worth $6,000 and we want the company to make $1 million, then you've got 166 clients to serve. This starts giving you an idea of what the company has to look like, right? So now you kind of know, right, for 166 clients to be served, what kind of positions am I going to need? How many coaches am I going to need? How many support staff might I need? Will I need an ads manager? Will I need a sales team? And you can start actually getting a better idea now, just from that vision alone, of what roles, remember, not the person, but the roles, what roles have to happen. So that's step one, is have a vision for what the company is going to look like first, and then you can start we can start outlining some job descriptions. The second step is to be clear what you require that team member to do. What is the outcome of that team member? Most coaches get frustrated when their team members don't get the job done, right? So the problem is, 9 out of 10 times, the real problem is the team member was never informed of what the job actually is. They didn't actually know what they should be doing. If you want to hire someone to run your Instagram for you, you just end up hiring someone saying, right, do Instagram for me. But if you haven't got any clearly defined outcomes, they're just going to do random stuff on Instagram, right? Or if you give them admin tasks to do, but you haven't clearly defined what the outcome is, how can they know what the outcome is, right? You need to know the outcomes because you need to know what, how their job role is going to lead to your company objectives happening. So if you're going to take on coaches, well, what do you need coaches to do on your behalf? And if you're stuck for answers, what do you do as a coach, right? What do you do as a coach that's so good? How do you build relationships with customers? How do you get results for customers? What do you say on the phone to customers? What do you need your coaches to do if they were going to come and work with you? What would you need a salesperson to do for you, or a sales team? What is it about sales that you hate maybe that you should outsource? What admin tasks do you need someone to do? So think about, what are the actual tasks? What outcomes are there that has to be done that you believe is best to outsource? That's step number 2. Know the outcome of the role. Okay, and I would only set about 3 to 5 maximum outcomes. I find if I give people more than 3 to 5 things to do, they get overwhelmed very quickly. So I prefer to have more people doing fewer tasks each, rather than 2 or 3 people doing 1 million things each, because they get overwhelmed and then nothing works. So let someone really do their superpower. Let them do 3 to 5 tasks that they can excel at, right? So, but know what those outcomes are for each role. Now, the third step. Okay, so number 1 is know your vision for what the company is going to look like. Number 2 is to be clear on what you want the team member to do. What is the outcome of the job role? Number 3, you need to know the operating costs of your business as you desire it. The operating costs. Because you have figured out the revenue target and maybe a profit target as well. Now we need to know, you need to be clear, okay, to bring people on, it's going to cost some money, right? you're gonna pay people, I assume. So, you can barter and you can find ways of getting help, sure, we can talk about that. But for most people, let's assume you're ready just to start paying some low rates at least to get some help. What are the operating costs going to be for the business at that level? So if you know that you need 3 coaches, you need 2 salespeople, you need an admin person and maybe a Facebook ads manager, at that level, when the company is working with 166 clients in this example, and it's churning out $1 million revenue, maybe you estimate that you're going to need 3 coaches to help you, 2 salespeople, a Facebook ads expert, and an admin person maybe, or a project manager. Right? You can then start to estimate what those expenses might be, because every job role comes with a relative market salary. or a relative market amount. So it's very hard to know what am I going to pay someone, and we don't know that yet specifically, but we can get a ballpark estimate. I mean, if you want a really good Facebook ads manager, it's going to cost you probably between $1,000 to $3,000 a month. If you want a really good salesperson, expect to give 25% commissions away and maybe a baseline retainer as well. If you want a good coach, you can start to see kind of what you might, in a ballpark area, look to pay someone. So you can then see that, are you maybe planning on taking on too many people and the costs are too high? That's too high for that $1 million goal you had, for example. So you've got to start getting a balance here of, here's what my goal is, here's the team members I think I'll need, here's what the costs are going to be. Do steps 1 to 3 add up? Does it actually make sense? Because if not, then you might have to go and reconfigure. Either you need to earn a bigger revenue goal, or you need to get the job done with less team members. I hope that makes sense. Drop any questions at any time if you want more clarification on this. So you've outlined the vision of the company, of what it needs to do to get that revenue goal. You have outlined an idea of what the outcome of the team members you need. And then you start looking at the operating costs of the business at that level, and the payroll, what the payroll costs might come to every month. Step 4 then is to prepare your financial projections at least 1 year in advance. Now, inside my mentoring program, the Expert Business Blueprint, it's a high-level business mentoring program where I take you for the next 12 months and give you a business plan and help you achieve that with me and my team of coaches. So one thing we teach immediately in the very beginning is to set a 12-month financial projection. Now, what this means is, scaling up costs money. Freedom isn't free in business. That's what people forget. So when you decide to remove yourself and you decide to get a team instead, the company is going to have to pay for that. This means your profits are likely to narrow. When you're a one-person coach, you can enjoy profit margins of 80, 90%, right? You have very low costs, you keep all the money, you charge high fees, perfect. But if you want freedom and don't want to be doing time for money, your profit margins are going to get narrower because you'll be bringing a team on. So don't worry, the company will still make lots of money. It'll be a lower percentage of profit, but it'll be a larger volume of client sales because your team will be serving numerous clients. But it's good to create this financial plan because you can then start seeing, okay, in month 1, let's say a month from now, how many sales are we likely to get? What are our costs likely to be? What's our net income going to be? In month 2, the next month, what's going to happen then? In month 3, what's going to happen then? And if you take the time to do this exercise, it's very powerful because it will help you see when in the timeline might be viable for you to bring on a team member. Because if you bring a team member on too quick and it costs you too much before you've got the sales there and the clients to give them something to do, then you're going to be, you're going to be burning money. And likewise, if you take clients on too quickly and you might have plenty of clients and plenty of cash, but no team members to help, you get burned out. So you've got to get that flow right. This is the really hard part. You've just got to get that flow right. And by doing a 12-month financial projection, you'll get an idea of how much money is coming in and by when. And this will give you a timeline, only an estimate, but it'll give you an idea. Okay, for example, look, I think in 3 months from now, we have collected enough revenue and profit and saved it aside that I can afford to bring on a coach, and I have enough money in the company to cover 3 months of payroll. So I can afford to pay them for at least 3 months. And by looking at a projection like that, it really helps you stay certain, stay in control, and know what's going on. So that's step 4. Do a 12-month financial projection first. Don't just take on a team member and then just hope for the best, right? And then wonder why 2 months from now you can't afford to pay them anymore, right? That was just poor planning. So that's step 4, financial projection. Step 5, you now want to create job descriptions for every role you've identified. So at this point, you know what the company is going to look like. You know what roles you're going to need to service the business at that level. You know the costs of what the company is going to cost at that level. You've done a financial forecast so you can see how you're going to ease into those revenues and costs. Now at stage 5, we want to create a job description. This is like a mini sales page for that job role. So you'll have one for your coaches, maybe a job description for an admin person, a job description for a project manager, a job description for a Facebook ads manager, whatever it might be. And this job description, you need to have an overview of the role. What's a typical day going to be like for this person? What are the main outcomes? Remember, back in step 2, you define the outcomes for the job roles. What is the main outcome that they're going to be monitored against? Okay, what performance are you going to track? And how are you going to give them training and support and tools to help them achieve those outcomes? That's some of the key things you want on there. And then of course, a call to action. So if someone's interested, what's the next step in the process? How does the hiring process work? Do they contact you? Do they fill out a form? Do they send a fax? What do they do? Right? That's a basic job description. Okay, and remember, we're doing all these steps before you hire somebody. Because as you're probably seeing when you're watching this, if you have got team members right now and it's not working out for you, or you've tried in the past and it hasn't worked, you're probably realizing already it's because that some of these steps weren't in place. And you can see that, oh, if I had that, like if I knew what outcomes I wanted, it would have been good. If I'd known how many team members I need and when, if I'd done financial projections, you can see that would have made things a lot smoother for you. So this is before we actually take someone on. This is basic infrastructure that needs to be in place first for the best results. So step number 6, after you've made job descriptions for the roles you plan to take on, step 6 is to create a developmental system for your team. A developmental system. So if you want to succeed at leading a team, write this down, okay? Write this next statement down. Your team are your new clients. Your team are your new clients. Write that down. That is literal, because with experience, you'll know this is true, okay? Your company is a product. It's a product that will attract potential team members that want to work for you. It needs to attract them. Your company needs to be able to convert them or recruit them. And it needs to be able to progress them and add value to them. And ultimately, your company needs to retain those good team members. Isn't that like your clients right now? Don't you build a funnel to attract prospects, to convert prospects, and then retain them as clients by adding value to their lives? That's exactly what you need to do with your team members. Okay, so you need a whole other funnel system that attracts them, recruits them, and then a developmental system, like a program almost, like a mentoring program. Look at your business like a mentoring school and think of yourself as a mentor, not a boss, to mentor these people and develop them in their own skills. Okay, so this way your team members know that there is going to be growth within your company. And growth is a spiritual need. If you can provide that, people are going to love working for you a lot more. Because if your team isn't growing, then your company isn't growing. Because guess what? Now, your company is your team. It's a company of people. Your individual team members, including you, make up the company, right? Take that away, and what is it? It's just you having a job with your customers again. So if everyone's not growing and developing spiritually, emotionally, physically, intellectually as people, then they're holding back the growth of your company, and you're responsible for that. So put in place a developmental system. Always be creating space in your company for them to move up into. So as you outsource more and more tasks, you'll step into a new role. So you might outsource your coaching, for example. Maybe you outsource 90% of your clients and you just work with maybe your top 10% of clients. But now you've created a distinction. Now you have a junior coaching role, which they are doing, and a senior coaching role, which you are doing. So the senior works with the top 10% of clients, and the junior works with the 90% of lower clients. Now you've got a hierarchy. Now the junior you just recruited knows that one day they'll be able to now become a senior coach. But they can only do that, and they can only take those 10% of clients once you move up again. And you now decide you're going to become the business manager. And when you become business manager, now there's an opening for somebody to be head coach, senior coach. Your junior can now become a senior, and your new senior can now train a new junior. And now this senior coach is great because he has progression, he gets a pay rise, or she gets more responsibility, and now she gets to contribute and actually teach on skills of her old job to the new person. And when you give someone growth and contribution, this is Tony Robbins' basic stuff, you're giving them two higher needs. The two higher needs that create fulfillment in people, right? You're giving them growth and contribution. They get to grow and they get to give within your company. Now your company is a place they get to grow themselves personally and contribute. And they're going to feel so connected and in love with your business because of that. All right. So that's step number 6. You need to create a developmental system to create an upwards waterfall effect. And if you keep hopping out of the roles and progressing yourself, the faster you progress yourself out of those roles, the faster you can now develop more people and add value to their lives. Step number 7 then. Before we hire someone, you've got to also define the core values of your organization. Another thing we take my clients through in my program is defining the core values of your company, because this is where your culture comes from. So have you ever taken on employees or contractors and maybe you're not happy with the results? They do something wrong, it's not good enough, whatever it is. It's usually because those people are not aware of your core values. And that's your responsibility because you never outlined them, right? So if you don't like the fact you took on someone and their work was slow, that must mean that one of your core values is likely to be that you want fast, effective, punctual work. If they knew that, they could then align to that core value. But here's the thing, we hire based on core values. We hire people according to the core values we lay out. We train people in our core values, and we fire people based on core values. That's how critical core values are to the company. They are the guideline. They are the guiding force to everything. Because we hire for personality, but we train for skill. Right? Again, another mistake is most coaches do the opposite. They train someone who's got the best resume, but is a really bad person to talk to, or has no team spirit, or is not social, right? And depending on what job role you need them for, that can be a good thing or a bad thing. But we hire for personality because we can train anybody in a skill, or we can get them training to get them up to speed. And for us, personality means, are they in line with my core values? You know, the values in my company, in my consulting company, in the Expert Business Blueprint, we value getting results for our clients. We value experience. We value growth, contribution, responsibility, abundance. These are all some of the core values behind what we do. So I want to make sure I'm taking on people in my company that also believe in these things too and are living them. And they're showing me how they get results, how they provide good experience, how they're growing, how they're contributing. So they're living in alignment with these core values. That's the most important thing. So define your core values. And when you do that, the culture is going to shift. Your team members are going to have a much better time. They're going to want to stay with you. And plus, you'll be more able to read if they're a good fit to stay in your company or not. Number 8 then, create a team member avatar. So remember when I said your team members are your new clients? Well, you probably have a client avatar profile, right? You know, well, the reason you attract such good clients is because you have an ideal client profile. You know exactly the best demographic, the gender, the age, the income status. You have an idea of the ideal customer you love to work with. But have you ever created a team member avatar for every single team position you want to hire for? All right, and Tanya says this is great information. Thanks a lot, Tanya. And Tanya's in the Expert Business Blueprint program where you get this like times 10 in the program and deep dive on all my templates and how to do all this stuff as well. But yeah, this is still a good overview. So here's where a lot of coaches really drop the ball. They hire the wrong person for the role. Not a bad person, but the wrong person, right? Most coaches, for example, will end up hiring, they want to take on another coach, and they end up hiring another solopreneur who has just as many ego problems as they do. And then they wonder why that person steals all their clients and isn't a team player, right? Because the people who are also driven by ego are not going to be part of a team. That's not what they're looking for. You want to find someone, for this team, for this role, whether it's an admin person, a Facebook ads manager, or whatever, like who can I add the most value to? Who can my company add the most value to do this role? So when we hire fitness professionals, for example, for our gyms, we don't hire like other freelancers generally, because they ask for too much money. They want $30 an hour. They don't have a team spirit. They think they know it all. We don't want those people. Right? They're good specialists maybe, but that comes at a big price. Instead, we look for people, in this example, only for this role, doesn't go for all roles, but for this role, we look for coaches that want to work to learn, not just to earn. So I'm looking for a coach who's young, ambitious, doesn't have predefined ideas of how to do coaching, but wants to learn, maybe can't afford to learn all the training programs, things that I can invest to put them through. And that's the people we find. They're not entitled to want $20 an hour, right? We'll give them a competitive salary, but these people will often do better work because they get more responsibility working for us. They get a better team environment. They get put on more coaching programs. They get to learn. They get a mentor. And they probably work less hours than they would in a full-time place somewhere else. So we do that. It's just finding the right person for the right job, right? So that's one of the most powerful things we do there. And inside the mentoring program, I can help you more specifically find, who's the person you need right now. Do you need someone with a lot of skill and experience, or can you get someone with a basic level that you can train up quickly? And so on. And every case is different, but that's just an outline there. The final step, we're going to wrap this up then. The final step then is to reach out to places your ideal client will be hanging out. Okay, so now we know who we want for the role. We know what the role is. We know everything about the role. Now we can find out, okay, where do I find this person? Well, you've done the avatar exercise, so if you know who the person is demographically, it's easy to find them because you'll know where they are. Maybe they're going to be in college and university. Maybe they're going to be students. Maybe they're going to work in a coaching business somewhere else. Maybe they're going to be in school somewhere. Who knows? Right? But if you do the previous exercise, you'll then be able to do this step and you'll find people very, very easily. Okay, then you're able to show them the job description that you made. You show them that job description so they can see what the outcomes are. They know exactly what to do. You show them on the job description will outline the developmental system you've created or you have in place, and it'll show them how you're going to train them, what it's like to be part of your team, how you're going to add value to their life beyond just money. And of course, you know what the outcomes are. So you can tell them that each month you'll be able to evaluate them against that pre-agreed performance metrics. So if you do have to let someone go, it doesn't become an emotional decision then or a personal one. It's just, hey, these were the performance metrics that we defined when you signed onto the role. You haven't been doing them, so I'm going to have to find somebody else, right? And Tanya makes a comment here. She says, this is how I've kept the same 10 people on my festival team for the last decade as unpaid volunteers. I offer them access to Hollywood that they couldn't buy if they wanted to, right? And this is brilliant because, to keep anyone on your team for 10 years is a true testament to your ability as a leader and a value giver, Tanya, first of all, but then to have them there as unpaid volunteers just proves, without a shadow of a doubt, that you are offering massive value, or not you, sorry, that's solopreneur language. Entrepreneur language, your company is offering massive value to them in terms of work experience, opportunities, connections, development, maybe like a family feel, connection in life, you know, that some people, remember, most people spend half their life in a job. They want to just find somewhere that they enjoy and don't want to work for an arsehole. That's value sometimes, right? Just don't be a dick. Give them somewhere they can work where it's fun, right? And they can be themselves. So Tanya is obviously producing all that because these people want to work with her for free for 10 years. It reminds me a lot of what Tony Robbins does. And Tony Robbins has volunteers all over the world with his huge events, and it's not by accident. It's by following these systems. They know the outcome. They know what the costs are. They know what they need from the people. They add value to the people. They develop them. They train them. They create room to grow. They give additional value. And when you do all these things, guys, you'll see that the thing we worry about most, which is the financial compensation, is actually probably lower on the importance for that team member than you actually think it is, right? There are many other forms of value that come beyond financial compensation, right? So again, if you want to find out about the program, you can send a message to the page. I'll probably drop a link above this a bit later on as well. And you can find out more about that. We work with you for 12 months, help you find a team, put these systems together. We help you with your job descriptions. We outline your company vision with you, the core values, help you with a business plan all the way, and help you with your financial projections so you'll know with certainty when you can take on people and when you want to insert that into your timeline. And then you get coaching every month, personal coaching, to help you stick to that plan and overcome any challenges pretty easily and simply. So if that sounds like something you might want to do, hit me up and let me know, and I'll share more details about the program. But otherwise, hope you enjoyed this, guys. I would listen to this again one more time because there's so much nuggets I've dropped here in 9 steps. This is the formula that is really going to help you get more success with attracting a team, recruiting a team, leading a team, retaining the team, so that you can get more free time off. You can focus on working on the business and not in it. You get more freedom. And as you're going to find, working with a team becomes the most fulfilling thing there is. When you become a mentor to these people, that will reignite your passion for business. Because why? Because your team are your new clients. All right, guys. So we're going to wrap it up for now, but thanks for tuning in as always. Don't forget to like the page, share this on to anyone else that might benefit from it, and I will see you guys later on.